If you keep doing what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. So if you want to look for the future, and as life and everything keeps changing, that sometimes you need to take a leap of faith or a jump into something new.
Hello and welcome to the Dairy Experience podcast. I'm your host, Rick Major. In this episode, we are heading down to Dacre, near Invercargill in the South Island of New Zealand. Joining me is Bruce Dinnington. Welcome, Bruce.
How are you? Good.
Now, Bruce's story is one like no others. Bruce has got a hybrid barn, which allows him to combine the best of both grazing and the barn world. He's milking about 350 cows using 6 Lely Astronaut A4 robots and 4 Lely Discovery Collector manure robots to keep the barn all clean. Then we've got a Lely Juno feed pusher, push the feed towards the feed fence. Bruce, what else can you tell me about this hybrid barn and its history?
It's history. Well, we've been now going, 9 years now, our 9th season. We were looking for ways to, look after our pastures a lot better. We've always had wintering barns in the past, but they're composting barns. So we wouldn't be able to keep it clean enough to milk out of them. So to look after our pastures more in the spring and autumn time, we knew the freestall barn would be a huge benefit in that area. With the old 50-barrel rotary coming to the end of its life, it was going to have to be either upgraded or replaced. So the decision then was where we wanted to go for in the future. And having already had an automatic calf feeder, we saw the huge benefits on the calves, and we knew we'd get the similar benefit with the cows as well. So we decided to take the plunge and put the robots in instead of redoing a rotary, and then combining the freestall barn with it.
Did the size of the farm play any role in that?
A little bit, yes. We actually downsized. We sold about a third of the farm off with the rotary in the end, so we could go back to the family unit. And with putting the robots in, means we could do away with the staff and go back just to a family farm. And then having all the cows under the one roof. Yeah.
So you just mentioned that actually the transition to robots started with the calf feeders.
Correct.
Can you tell me more about how did that journey start?
Two farms across, they brought one in. And Mum went around there to have a look at it. She's part of a rural women group. And she was very impressed with it. So at that stage, we were rearing about 200 calves, and she thought it'd make life a lot easier for her. So we went right around south and looking at different setups, and we were out with the Lely guys one day, and coming back from looking at an automatic calf feeder, they wanted to know if we wanted to call in to the robotic dairy farm up at Raised Bush. So we had time, so we did. And that's when I first got my eye on the milking robot.
And milking robots are a bit the next level than just a calf feeder.
Yeah, they are. But it wasn't the robot I saw, it was the cow. And it's the cow that took my eye. Just how quiet and contented those cows were, just quietly walking in and out at their own time, their own pace, and you could just see the production and the health benefits in it. Nobody's herding them in, nobody's pushing them out, they're not charging out for feed. It's just such a relaxed, atmosphere in the whole shed. And with having big, well-fed cows doing high production per cow, you could just see that the benefits of the robots would do to my system.
And once you saw that, you knew, I want the same.
Yeah, and it's just sat in the back of my mind for a few years. And as I say, we had the automatic calf feeder in for about 4 years before we started seriously looking at the milking robots. And we just could see how much more quieter, contented those calves were, how much better they did. They just had access to the paddocks outside. And all day, the calves would just walk in and out like a herd of old cows to walk in for a feed. And they'd walk into the calf feeder, but the allocation wouldn't be there. They'd back out, and about 2 minutes later, they'd walk in and it'd be sitting there. That's how close and accurate those calves could get it. So you knew just how easily and quickly those calves adapted to the automatic calf feeder, that you knew the cows would be the same in the robots. And just watching the calves, you can see they're just virtually a completely different animal.
So how did you use these same insights in setting up the layout you have at this moment?
For the milking robots?
Yes.
Well, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Because we wanted the freestall barn and the robots under one roof, but then having a proper grazing system outside, It's something that had never been done.
Correct. So that's
So we no footprint to follow, no other plans to follow. So yeah, we looked all around New Zealand and sort of around the world for different options and how people did certain things, but nobody combined it all together under one roof.
how we're confident that this will work.
Well, once we sort of got the plan roughly in place, and you get the lanes to work in and out, then you knew it would start to flow. We played around with it on paper a lot, and then of course, once to get it all here and into place, we could still shift all the grazeways around because they're only bolted down. So we get the angles right and get everything positioned right. So then we knew that the cows would flow.
So now we're talking about the hybrid barn a lot. For everyone's listening, can you paint us a picture so that we can visualize how it actually looks like? Can you walk us through how you've set it up, the ways the cow move, where the robots are placed? Can you paint us a picture?
We've got 360 beds in the freestall barn, which is like at the east end of the shed, and the 6 robots are at the west end of the shed. There is a fence between the two, between the barn and the actual robots. So when we're during the summertime, the cows are outside solely on grazing. It keeps them out of the barn. And then in the autumn time, the cows go in there at night because all the silage or supplement is fed in the freestall barn. So they can, when they come in and get milked at night, they then walk into the barn and they can get all their supplement inside the shed. And then from the barn itself, these Texas gates or one-way gates, they can walk from the barn into the robots to get milked at their leisure or at free will. And then they just get milked. They either go back into the barn, or once the gates are open, usually about 7 o'clock in the morning, they start walking back out to the paddocks. So through the autumn, winter and spring, they're in the barn all night. And during the winter, if the grass is still dry enough and the weather's fine enough, the milking cows will still get to go outside during the day.
You just let them go.
But if it's too wet, they're inside 24 hours a day. So it gives us huge flexibility that way. But it gives us the option to either lock them inside the shed or let them out when the conditions suit.
Now you've already been doing this for several years. I can imagine that to you this all feels natural. For the listeners to who this certainly is not, what does a typical day in your life look like?
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's so flexible. There's no such thing as a set routine or a set day. So you can set up to suit whatever you want you do on each individual day. That's one of the beauties of it. You're not tied to the clock. But generally, I have a main wash comes through here at 9:30 in the morning. So I still have to be here at 9:30 to change the filter stock in the morning. So any time before 9:30 in the morning, I can come here. But also for the grazing side of things, they start their first block at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the first gate change is usually about that 9:30 as well, which sees about half the herd go out to the first block. So we're on a B, C, D grazing or 4-way grazing. And if I get the split on the first 2 blocks in the morning, 50-50 in each block, and the 2 blocks in the afternoon stay roughly the same. So I'm usually here about 9 o'clock in the morning. So if the cows happen to go through slightly early, I can alter that gate a little bit, try to get the same number of cows in A and B blocks. So to me, that 9:30 in the shed is roughly when I like to be here. And with the main plant wash going through at 9:30, it's also when I hose down and get a good clean over the robots as well. So that 9:30 is the time I like to be in the shed in the mornings, which allows me to get the grazeways right and be able to clean the robots and, as I say, change that filter stock as well, which under new robots you don't have to, but under mine you still do, but yeah.
So it was something completely new. No one has ever done this, what you've been doing here, especially here
As we're led to believe, yeah.
in New Zealand. And then also going robotics. What were your biggest concerns going into all this? Is there anything you can look back on the worries you had then and how you look back on them now?
Not really. We're probably 2 to 3 years in the plan we're doing it before we finally took the jump. And we had a close look at the robot farms that were down here, how they were working. So we had a couple of years to watch them pretty closely to see how they worked. So we were able to pick their brains, if you like. So we had a pretty good idea as to how the cows flowed and how the whole system would work. And I had a pretty good vision in my head how I wanted it to work. And it's all panned out pretty good. And as I had hoped, yeah. But the cows adapted damn sight quicker than I thought.
And do you need a whole barn for robots to work?
No. You can have just the robots in the shed by themselves. And a lot of people do have the barn by itself. But the ultimate is to have it under one roof. One thing we were told, people, because a lot of people build the robot shed first, and then 4 or 5 years down the track when they get more cash, they build the wintering barn. But they usually put the two separate. What they find in the winter when the weather's no good is the cows won't walk back and forward if it's raining or if the weather's rough.
And they want to stay in the shed anyway.
Yeah, so they spend a lot of time walking cows back and forward between the two sheds.
Yes.
So it's one thing they all told us is put that under one roof. And that's definitely been beneficial.
And you mentioned, so you want to go robotics also because you've seen how calf feeders work for the calves. So you think this would work the same for dairy cows, the automation?
Well, it's just an addition to it, yes.
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah.
Have you looked into conventional milking as well? Or did you think, didn't even out of the question, robotics, that's what I want to do?
Well, we've always been dairy farmers. So Dad converted the home farm in 1974 with a herringbone. So we started with herringbones. My first farm was a herringbone. And then in 2000, we bought the neighbour's farm and we built a 50-bar rotary on there. And we were in that 50-bar rotary for 18 years before we decided to build this. So we've gone from herringbones to rotary and now to robotics.
You've had them all.
So we knew what the conventional system would give us, and we knew if we built just another rotary, nothing changes. But we knew that if we went the robotic side of things, then it gives the production and the health benefits to the cow for the fact it's all free flow and the cows do what they want when they want. It gives us a lot more free time, and it allowed us to minimise staff as well. So it just gave us much more options going robotic than what it would have been to stay conventional.
But how do the numbers stack up in comparison to a conventional milking system in terms of investment?
Oh, very good. Very good. As if we were conventional here, we'd be running at least one and a half labour units, because once you start employing staff, you've got to give them time off. So, and now they get more and more time off. There's more stat days and that sort of side of it. So, the relief milkers now, the price of them is well, they're hard to get. So therefore, there's a premium in price to help if you can get a good one. So, we'd be looking at, as I say, a good staff unit, you're looking at about 80,000. At the moment, we're renting the house out, which is bringing us in somewhere about 20 grand a year. So you get to add that on top of your staff wage. So there's over 100 grand for that worker. Then a relief milker or someone to fill in, you probably spend another 20, 30, 40 grand a year. So that's year on, year out. You're probably talking 150 grand a year we're saving. Year
That's
in, year
major.
out, roughly. Because we've also seen production here go from 560 milk solids a cow up to 750. So we've seen a big jump in production. So it's not just staff, but it's production we've jumped up as well. And then through having milking all year round, we've gone from yearly calving to 18-month calving intervals. Because we found with the robots, being able to custom feed them the grain, the molasses and the soy, the big milking cows just keep milking. We can look after them and keep them milking longer. So by going to 18-month calving intervals, I reckon we get an extra 3 to 4 years life out of the cows as well. So we're getting much longer longevity out of them. We're getting a higher peak. They're holding the peak a lot longer. And then we're only getting the straight 60-day dry period compared to the normal person's 100-day average. So we don't have the downtime or the long dry period most people have. So there's a lot more profitability or production-wise in these robots over the conventional system. So your top production in a cow is between 5 and 10 or 12.
And the longevity.
So having a lot more cows in that 5 to 12 year age group, that's where your production is. That's where your money cows are.
Wow.
Your money's not in heifers.
Wow.
Now, look, their first lactation is what pays their calf rearing costs. So if the traditional farm loses a third in that first season through not being calf or whatever, I lose very, very few due to low production or not in calf or that sort of stuff in their first lactation.
Great insights, Bruce. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have you already broke even?
Oh, long ago.
Long ago? Oh.
We had a Dutch guy in here not long after we started. And he was an accountant and an advisor, and he tried to work it all out.
Yeah.
And he worked it all out on a $5 payout, which is what we built it all on.
Yeah.
The production increase that we had at that point in time, the reduction in staff, he said there was a five-year payback on it, on a $5 payout.
That's tremendous.
I don't think he was quite correct, but he wasn't far away from it. The return for us has been significant.
Wow. Were there any other benefits you didn't see coming that eventually happened, that you didn't foresee?
Well, as I say, like your health benefits, we don't get the lameness like we used to because the cows wander in and out as they feel like it. And because there's such a stress-free environment, it drops your cell count, increases fertility, because a lot of those are stress factors on the cow, which limits fertility and that sort of side of things. So if you can minimise as much stress as possible, there's a huge benefit in the cow in that area. Plus, through the robots themselves, you get a full herd test every milking. So it's not just the volume of fat and protein you get, but you also get the cell count reading out of each individual quarter. So you can pick up the mastitis a lot quicker. And you actually know the exact quarter as well, not just the cow. And you also get the temperature of the milk. So you know if that temperature starts to increase, that you know there's definitely an infection kicking in. Let alone the fact of setting on scales as well. So if I lose any more than 7% of the body weight within 3 days, sends an alarm to my phone. So it's, that's another thing, you can catch things a lot quicker. You might think a cow might have a bit of a lame foot, but if you start losing the body weight quicker, which you don't always see by eye, then they can tell you it's actually a lot worse than what you think.
So what I hear a lot, farmers going robotics, they don't see their cows too often, they don't see if there's anything off with their cows. But now I hear you actually, the robots help me with the data that is collecting to help my cows.
Well, there's two sides of it. You get a lot more data on the cows, but as the cow itself, you now see the whole cow. In a conventional system, in a herringbone or rotary, you basically only see the udder, because that's what's right in front of you. Now you don't see that. You actually see the cows walking in and out. And even though, you still go in the paddocks each day and have a ride around the paddocks or walk through the barn just to try to see all the cows anyway. So you do still keep your eye on them, but it's just slightly different. But you do get more of the combination of both. You do get significantly more data, but you still do look at the cow, but you actually look at the whole cow, either in the paddock or walking in and out the shed or in the shed, rather than just the udder that's normally in front of your face in a herringbone or rotary. So yes, you don't see the same cow twice a day every day, but when you do see that cow, you see the whole cow.
Interesting insight.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's actually such an easy system, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's much more simple than what you think. Like most people think you've got to be a computer geek to run them, but I hate computers. I don't have anything to do with them. Yet I can run these years, and I can get everything out of them that I want.
And you've got the app on your phone, and probably you don't even need a computer.
Well, no, you still have to look through all your certain lists each day. Yeah. But it's much simpler than what most people think. But then again, when you talk about comparing this to a conventional shed, you got to compare apples with apples.
Correct.
Like most people today, if they're doing building a herringbone or rotary, they're putting all the bells and whistles in. So they're putting cup removers in, they're putting automatic teat sprayers in, they're putting auto drafters in. So if you go a top line spec rotary versus a robotic shed, the difference isn't that much difference in price. There's still a lot of this misconception of the price of them. There's a lot of people still saying they're $1 million each.
I remember reading a quote from you in another article we did a couple of years ago. And I will quote you on this. We believe this is the way of the future and the style of farming we want to pursue. What is your vision on the future of farming right now?
Well, who knows? It's getting more and more automated as to where AI gets. It's just these robots getting just more and more efficient all the time. And the accuracy and what's the side of it's improving all the time. They now believe they've got cameras all that set up in sheds, you no longer need collars to identify them. They can identify the cow without collars and therefore pick up much more about each individual cow. So who knows where the future's going to lead.
So what are the next steps and future goals for your farm, for you personally?
It's just basically fine-tuning what we're already doing. We've been now here 9 years. We've got a lot of things fine-tuned now. And it's just basically keep on doing what we're doing. It's going brilliant for us, yeah.
Yeah. How has the journey been so far?
Oh, loving it. Loving it, yeah.
And my last question, Bruce. If there is a dairy farmer listening at this moment and he's not even thinking about robotics, what advice could you give to them? What helped you in the past, maybe?
The biggest piece of advice I would say is just have a look at them. It costs nothing to go out and have a look at them, and then just see whether it's a system that will suit you or not. It's not for everybody. As I say, I love them. I think they're brilliant. And it's just a matter of, if you keep doing what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. So if you want to look for the future, and as life and everything keeps changing, that sometimes you need to take a leap of faith or a jump into something new. And robotics for a lot of people is a huge step up. So just go out and have a look at them. And then you'll be able to see just what the rest of us are talking about, just the benefits that there is actually for the cow and for the farmer themselves.
Thank you so much for inviting us over, Bruce, and joining us on the Dairy Experience podcast. We're looking forward to seeing where your journey will go next.
Yeah.
And what your future on the dairy will look like. Thank you.
Good as gold, thanks, yeah.